full.
Five, four, three. Wait 3 seconds after I say go. Go.
All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome. It is time for the main event here in Mexico. It is the ISRL Division 1 Championship, and we are just ready to kick off our short qualifying session as already we have a driver hitting the track. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in on what is going to be a very exciting session here of racing action. My name is Fallen Monkeys, back here in the commentator's booth, joined once again by my co-commentator, partner in crime, ISRL Knight. Knight, how you doing here today?
Well, it depends which part of me you're asking. I had a rough race myself, so not great, but we've got a good race on our hands, so I'm feeling pretty good. Division 1, big grid here today, 18 drivers, on a track that some guys have been struggling on, some guys have been feeling pretty confident in, so I expect to see at least a little bit of grid shakeup happening today, and worst comes to worst, if they're all finishing where they expect to be, I still think it's going to be one very fun Grand Prix, so I'm very excited to get started here.
Oh, definitely. And even if they don't finish where they should be expecting to, I still think it's gonna be exciting. From even what I've seen in the previous divisions, they've all been very exciting races, and very crucially here for the most of them, we've had a little bit of weather play a factor here in Mexico, and it does leave the question: will we be seeing some weather play effect here in the race, possibly like we saw in Division 4? I really don't think we're going to see any rain here in qualifying, as it's looking nice and sunny with Carmentalist here starting a flying lap here in that AlphaTauri. I'm gonna ride on board with them here as will take us through a lap here. Now charging down here, heading towards turn 1. The right-hander going a little bit deep is Carmentalist here on those medium tires, and very quickly doesn't want to give me that onboard here for the ride through the track map. So I guess I'll have to try with somebody else. Here, up 1, let's go with Wouter, our former and still is three-time world champion, just not defending world champion, as I think it's going to take me a little bit to get used to not dropping that in there. Chapelelli is the defending champion, not here today, and if I recall correctly, opting to sit this season out with the challenges here in the new game. We will proceed either way, though, regardless of with him. But Wouter looking to be on a pretty good lap here so far as he's approaching the ever so dangerous twisty turny section of Sector 2. I don't know if it's got an official name here. Knight, you might be able to help me out with that. But for Wouter, it's an invalidation through that sector, as it looks to be causing a lot of issues for a lot of drivers here throughout the divisions here this afternoon.
Yeah, so it's a tricky track. You are talking about the S's, right?
Yes, the S's.
Yeah, they're just called the S's, nothing
okay.
crazy, but we do have some fun names around the track. I'll try to slip some names in as we go along, and those S's are tricky to handle. They are a tough part of the circuit. You've got the long straightaway, of course, so a lot of these cars are tuned to have a little bit less downforce, a little bit more top speed, and then of course with the high levels of altitude and the fact that the air is rather thin in Mexico, you're already running a lot of downforce. I know some cars are running up to 10, 11, maybe front wing. If it gets rainy, maybe a little bit closer to 9 in race in qualifying circumstances, but you're still talking about Monaco levels of front wing and rear wing downforce here. And so that's still not enough to help some of these cars go through the S's because of that long straight, because of the thin air. And so it's a tough track just because of how much of that downforce is lacking here.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely a case here, and of course around this track, you really wouldn't expect just looking at the track itself that it would be such a high downforce track. But like you said, the altitude here, really affecting these cars a lot more than you would like. But some, of course, more than others. Looking at the qualifying times, quickest time on the board as of now, set by Jer, a 1:13.7. Now is Izat Kush is crossing the line. I don't know if you guys can still hear me or not.
I can still hear you.
Okay, Knight, I might want to leave you to take control of the stream here for a little bit, because if you might be able to tell from my screen, we are essentially locked.
Well, yeah, the image definitely has frozen. I'm not sure what's happening here, but that's all right. I got my alternate angle up. We're good. Resized it to take up the whole screen till we figure this out. So hopefully you guys get a little bit of sound. If not, let us know in the comments. Let me see if I can. There you go. I'm going to give you guys some good sound up on this until we figure out our technical problems here. Yeah, we are on board right now with rotations coming through sector 3, going a little bit wide there. But I'm pretty sure he's on his on his second lap on the mediums into the race as he's coming around the final turn. He's got a 1:39.4. It's going to be better than that, I think. No, it's not, because he might have invalidated it and didn't tell me. But either way, he's coming down the straight. We'll tune in on board with him later, because he's going to be eager to improve.
there's nowhere to go. I'm holding my desires, my heart overflows. The only direction that I'll ever need is the deeper connection that's leading me. And I'm lost in your love when you hold me. Just hold me, 'cause I don't wanna run from your heartbeat. Your heartbeat, no, 'cause I'm lost in your love. I can't break the fall, you're taking it all. I'm lost in your love. 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 Lost in your love. I'm lost in your love. No words can change the future of us. The waves, they break, but we are enough. The only direction that I'll ever need is the deeper connection that's leading me. And I'm lost in your love when you hold me. Just hold me, 'cause I don't wanna run from your heartbeat. Your heartbeat, no, 'cause I'm lost in your love. I can't break the fall, you're taking it all. I'm lost in your love. 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 Lost in your love. I'm lost in your
Separated through the miles, searching for the answer to our trials. We came so far through our weakness. We found a love, even the stars between us won't bury us. One day we can be together, and this moment could last forever. I say that you and I have found a piece of heaven. So I pray we can be together one day. We found love in separate ways. Heartbreak is a wild
5, 4, 3, go.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your patience, but we are back and we are now once again set to kick off our short qualifying session. Might be a take two, for real this time, we hope, as we are just loaded into the lobby. We've got everything sorted out. Hopefully all the issues have gotten sorted out on their end as well. And as I put up all my wonderful information on the screen, thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name, for those who aren't aware, is Fallen Monkeys, and I am, of course, joined by ISRL Knight in the commentator's booth here, like it was previously here. Now, I know I'm going to be repeating myself, but I'm excited to get things kicked off here and officially re-kick off the start of qualifying. As you can see, drivers are quick to be hitting the track right now. Already a couple of them looking to get an initial lap done relatively early on, as I'm just trying to find, that's Josh too, who's going to be leading the charge here. So Knight, I'll ask it again here with the reset. How you doing? Excited for the racing action? Excited to kick things off here for real this time and to be back here in the lobby?
Yeah, of course. I hope the lobby works this time around and don't get any game crashes. That's what happened last time. If you guys were wondering where we went, we just had a couple of issues with the game. But we're back. It's all good. We're here. We are excited to share this Mexican Grand Prix with everybody. And just like last time, I did mention it. I'll mention it again. If a track like this, if you're not fully, how do you say, comfortable with the car, you're going to struggle. And I expect to see a few of these guys struggling today, and then maybe a few guys who actually put in the time and the practice, kind of hitting above their weight class, maybe look towards the bottom half of last race's results. You'll see the kind of guys that I think might have a jump on the competition today, maybe for more practice. Appen starts, Car Mentalist, Duwill maybe, who's in as a reserve, I believe. So could yet get some interesting results here in Mexico.
Oh, definitely, and just to mention, Duwill is here as a reserving for Feral Fury, who was unable to make it here today, so Duwill taking a spot in the Red Bull. Now, something I did notice here, which was a little bit different than our first take here in short qualifying, is that every single driver is currently out on track, either on an out lap, getting a flying lap set. I'm with Josh too right now, as he's leading the group of cars to get a lap time set. But Knight, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'll be honest, it's not really all that often we see this early in qualifying every driver hitting the track one after another to get a lap time in. Now, of course, I'm sure the reset might have had something to do with it. Drivers just itching to get back into the, I guess I'll call it the vibe, get back into the groove of racing. But, of course, there's a little side of me that feels like there could possibly be weather that could be playing into effect. Of course, we given that we hadn't jumped into the race here with the reset, as oh no, that was a Joran who's out of qualifying through the S's, it looks like. No, there's Joran officially now, as we just passed by him with Nathan JB. But just from what I was mentioning, of course, since we're essentially restarting the lobby right from the get-go here with short qualifying, we still have the unpredicted weather. So when I see a whole bunch of drivers out on track just like that, it leads me to believe that we might see the weather change sooner rather than later here in this qualifying session, which could be possibly a reason why every driver is hitting the track. Now, Knight, I don't know if you've got any insight on that, if your contacts on the pit wall have a weather report, but like I said, I definitely think we're going to be seeing some weather here in qualifying as already.
I don't know. It looks pretty bright and sunny to me. I do have to say that it is a fresh restart. So whatever weather we had last time we loaded in, we're saying, all right, pretend we never loaded in the first place, and it's a brand new lobby, so it could be different. It could be the same. It is looking pretty bright out, but you could be right. Maybe some clouds moving in later. It would explain why everybody's out on track. But I think your previous explanation of they're just really eager to get out there isn't a terrible one either. They had been sitting a little bit longer than expected. They are out and ready to race now, and maybe just trying to get some times up on the board. Maybe the reasoning is, hey, if there's another glitch, I want my time up there, because if we're not going to restart the lobby, right? If there's another glitch, we're going right to the race, probably, most likely, and they want to get their times up there just in case.
Yeah, could be the case. Could be the case as well. I didn't consider the I hope to not have to consider one lobby restart, but I didn't take into consideration what happens if we have another one here. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, of course. But I mean, looking at the times, the order hasn't seemed to change too much. I mean, now we've got Josh 2 currently on provisional pole with his 1:13.629. Was a great lap right from the get-go from the Alfa Romeo driver, and he is the time to beat. Nathan JB in second with his 1:13.7, so about a tenth of a second behind, with Ryan Malta that we just saw finishing his lap not too long ago, rounding out the top three in qualifying. Of course, Jer, who was sitting on provisional pole before that time, his time now is only good enough for P5, so might be looking to improve his time here between now and the end of qualifying. But we'll see how it all plays out here, with still a lot of time to go, still 11 and a half minutes, and lots of time for the track to evolve, to get quicker, for drivers to improve their times. Of course, I do think these first lap times, for some at least, could have been more banker times than anything else, just to put something on the board, just to get back into the groove of racing. But I'm gonna stick with Appin, who's just starting his flying lap. He was out and about, but I think an invalidation meant that first lap was not going to count, so very quickly back on track, very quickly back at it here to get a second lap time in, and hopefully it's going to go a little bit better than his first attempt here, and put something on the board here in this stage of qualifying. Has a little bit of traffic behind him, but I don't think it's going to affect him too much, as he's coming into turns 4 and turns 5, I believe, if I'm counting my corners correctly, into the double apex right-hander. That's a little bit of an awkward corner here to take at the best of times, even more so when you're trying to nail it perfectly in qualifying. And now through the ever so dangerous S's here, as I've been advised and taught the proper name for them here. Not too much to worry about here from Appin's lap, from what I'm seeing so far. Only a final few corners now, coming through the stadium section. Around the final corner he goes. Wants to get quickly on the power. You can see riding the gears very quickly there. And a pretty clean lap, a 1:14.159 for the Alfa Romeo driver of Appenstar, as that puts him into a top 5 here, but unfortunately not quick enough to break the minute 14 barrier we've seen our top 3 break earlier on. But moving.
Yeah, sorry, my mic. My mic
no
was
worries.
muted as I was answering a comment there. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't quite hear what you were saying, because I was answering people.
No worries.
I am on board with one of the Williams right now, so I'll give you some onboard action. I don't know if you want to follow somebody else on the track, but coming through Sector 3 with Krishna, who's also reserving right now, and he had a decent start there in the Div 2 race, looking to maybe get some revenge with an even better result in Div 1. I know a couple of reserve drivers love to do that. I wanted to do that, but I'm in here in the commentary booth, and so we get to talk about the kind of races we totally would have had if we were reserving instead of them. And for Krishna right now, that's P12 in qualifying with a 1:14.5, so a decent lap there from the reserve driver to get himself maybe not in the top 10 mix, but certainly close to a competitive position. That's a very easy place to get some free overtakes if there's an accident ahead of you going into turn 1.
Oh, definitely. And while you were watching Krishna, I was channeling my my inner race car driver here, watching Jamie take his flying lap. He had a well, I guess I'll call it a pretty good lap, good enough to take provisional pole from Isaac Kush, a 1:13.3 now, the new time to beat. I switched afterwards to Wouter, but through the S's, looking to be a little bit of a challenge for the Ferrari driver here in this stage of qualifying. That's another invalidation, and the only remaining running driver here in qualifying now is Wouter to have yet to set a lap time. And of course, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen Wouter charge from the back of the grid if it does happen. But of course, not ideal here, having to start from the back of the grid at any race, even more so here in Mexico, as I'll be honest, other than really the start finish straight, there's not too many overtaking opportunities, especially when we get to this level of speed and this level of skill that so many of these drivers have here in Division 1. Maybe a little less likely to see overtakes based on mistakes, but also maybe less likely to see some overtakes in non-normal positions. But of course,
well, it's like you mentioned, you have the straightaway, right?
Yeah.
If you get close but not close enough, got another little short straightaway, maybe just a small second chance. But to get a chance there, you need to get a better exit out of turns 1 to 3 than your rival. So again, the chances of it happening, yeah, maybe you'll catch up on the straightaway, but then you got to beat them again down to turn 4. Not a big chance. Maybe they make a mistake through the S's, you're able to close up in the short DRS gap right after. Yeah, that might happen, but like you said, it's unlikely with drivers of this level because of how close they are. Look at the gaps in qualifying. I mean, from P4 to P8, they're all within a tenth of each other, including Jarrah and Wagner, who are separated by thousandth of a second. And it's 5 drivers now within that 1:13.7. You got another couple, we had a couple drivers at 1:13.8, and one of them, Ryan Malta, just improves to P3 now. And then after that, 1:13.9. So it's so close, especially in the bottom half of our top 10 currently. I expect these times to drop off, but not too much, because 5 minutes left in qualifying, we're going to see some guys probably going out for the last laps now and giving it their all. Yeah, expect to see that go down. And then if you're behind your rival, in the start, have fun, because like you said, it's a tough track to get by on right now. You want to make as much leeway as possible during the qualifying session.
Oh, definitely. When you're just relying on time, especially here, like we were saying, a difficult track to overtake other than the start-finish straight. You want to rely on your starting position, and of course you're going to want to rely on your jump off the line, because if you get a bad jump here off the start of the race, then of course you're essentially going to be eaten alive on the long run towards turn 1. But I'm looking here at who is on a lap. Let's switch over to Appin, who's coming around the final corner here once again. We'll see if he can improve on the 1:14.1. He does improve, goes about 0.3 faster, and just like that, you were talking about how close the gaps were, knocking 0.3 off his time, bumped him up to a top 10 here for Appin Star with a 1:13.8, and it was a similar situation for Ryan Malta. A little bit earlier, knocked 0.3 off his time and bumped him from P9 to P3, and I think you just saw something there.
Only a 10 for style points there from Appin, who came out of turn 3, full Tokyo drift, the rear end stepping out, and he had a little wiggle to catch it. It was so stylish. I couldn't help but just open my mouth and gaze at it like some sort of beautiful nature show. It was very weird, but I loved that little drift. I'm going way too long about a little drift. It was just great, guys. It was great. You don't understand how cool that drift looked from my point of view on my angle that I have here.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm happy it was pretty neat, because right around the same time. And oh, hang on a minute. Let me get to that in a moment. But first, our provisional pole sitter, Jamian, is out of qualifying, and it looks like through on what was going to be his second lap or third lap, the S section's a little bit too much to handle, and that car is not in a great spot. Especially coming around the blind left-hander that you take in 7th gear right before DRS. You watch out. Oh no, and Josh too had an invalidated lap time, but going for a spin. Thankfully that car gets out of the way, but it's going to be difficult to get that car around while trying to get out of everybody's way.
He's actually managed that quite well, backing up there and getting out of everybody's way. Much easier than pulling a 180 mid-track in a tight section like that. You know how we mentioned at the start of qualifying that there were some drivers we were going to have to look out, guys who may have underperformed last race, guys who may be, I guess, a sleeper pick. Jamian, however you want to say it, is one of those guys. He had a rough race in Austria, and now he's provisional pole, and he's also one of those guys we might have, I don't know if we mentioned it on stream last race or this was just a part of a conversation that we had, but he's one of those guys who, when he's quick, he is quick. He's one of those, you don't really see him coming, and all of a sudden he's dominating the weekend, and then he kind of drops back to the shadows for a week or two. Well, last week, he finished 12th. Now he's provisional pole. It's exactly the kind of stuff we're saying. So he's another one we're going to have to keep an eye out.
And it does sound like something that would have been mentioned at least on Ace Stream, because I feel like I bring it up all the time as far as Jamian is concerned. Didn't really want to mention it here today, because also it seems like every time I bring it up I seem to jinx him. So I think I'm going to keep my mouth shut on the analysis for Jamian and just let him do what he knows he can do around here in Mexico. And still looking pretty good. Drivers trying to challenge for that pole position. One of the more recent competitors, Jer, came close, brought that car up to P3 here on his, I believe, his official return to the Division 1 grid. But unfortunately not quick enough to snag that provisional pole. And as we're approaching the final minute now of qualifying, it's time for these final lap times to be set. I think that was Krishna crossing the line to get one more done. Passasin finally putting a time that we're a little bit more used to seeing from the Mercedes driver, a 113.6, but only good enough for P5. So it looks like Passasin maybe struggling here around Mexico a little bit more than the rest of the grid, and of course struggling on the standards I'm used to seeing for Passasin. Normally he's a shoo-in for a top 3, whether it be in qualifying or the race, but Wagner, right as I was mentioning that on his final lap, clipping the curb a little bit too much, losing the back end, and that is going to be the end of his attempt here. Will not be improving, and at best will be P9. Same can be said for XL Tin Can, who had an invalidation, will not be improving he himself. Eklund just starting a lap right now. Krishna will not improve as he's in a lowly P15, but the driver I'm going to be keeping an eye out now is Ariel Wouter, coming through the ever so dangerous S's here that seem to have ended so many of his flying laps in the past. This time making no mistake as he makes it through very cleanly, and it's a purple sector too. So can we have a late challenger for pole as the Ferrari of Wouter coming through the stadium section? Can he put it together here where it matters most at the end of the session? A 1:13.3 is the time to beat across the line. It's close, but not close enough. It's a 1:13.446 for the Ferrari driver. So Jamian can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief as just as the rain starts to fall here in qualifying, we have hit the end of qualifying with Jamian in the Haas. Starting from pole position here when we do kick off the race.
It was absolutely a very close finish there. We keep talking how close these guys are, and just like that, about half a tenth between first and second. Is it right behind there in the 13.4s as well? A couple of guys, Jer and Ryan Malta in the 13.5s. Then we've got Passassin and Josh in 13.6s. And did you see that, by the way?
Did I
How
see
it
what?
started raining? It started raining
Yeah.
right after quali finished.
Yep, it was. I caught that right as it was either right as Wouter finished his lap time or as I was going down. I saw the rain just flash on the screen. So I mean, just in time for qualifying to end, the rain is starting, and we'll see
look
if
at
that's.
that. Half a second in the top 14.
Oh my
Absolutely
goodness.
amazing qualifying session here. Drops off just a little bit after that, but these guys are still close. They're still on the pace. Krishna and Dewil both within a second. Rotation getting faster on the wheel. Is closer than he was last week, so expect him to gain a lot more time there in the coming races and get right back to his former form. Carmentalist, who did a lap on the mediums with a 1.6 seconds back, and then no time from Jerome at the back there. But I'm excited for this race. I'm absolutely excited for this race.
Yep, and the question. Well, I mean, now my question is answered. I was gonna say, will the rain that we saw at the end of qualifying carry through for the race? It does not appear to be the case. The rain has cleared, and we've got nice, sunny, clear skies here to start the race when we do get it. I mean, of course, drivers taking a bit of a moment, getting final tweaks to setups, final tweaks to fuel, I would say. Those outside of the top 10 figuring out how they want to go about tire strategies here. Now, it is something that going into the race, are you more Team 1 stop or are you on Team 2 stop here for this track?
That's a tough question, right? So I actually did a medium soft 1 stop, but it wasn't by choice, and it was very slow. A couple of guys made the 2 stop work. I think what matters most here is if we're going to get variable weather and when, if at all, a safety car is going to come out, because you could start on the ideal strategy, do a 2 stop or whatever you think the ideal strategy is, and a safety car comes out at the worst possible time, and it splits your pit stops, and you can either go off your strategy and lose positions, or stay on your strategy and lose positions. Or you can luck into a great strategy. You can go, I'm going to pit this lap, and then a safety car comes out, you get a free pit stop. So there's still so much to play here, so much to figure out. We got a formation lap to go before we really get into the meaty part of this event. But I have no idea how this is going to shape out.
Yep, it's going to be a good one here, and it's also going to be the Haas of Jamie, and like we were mentioning, starting on pole, starting from P1, he's leading the cars through the formation lap with Wouter putting that lap together when he had to. In second, Izat Kush, Jer, Ryan Malta rounding out the top 5 with Passassin, Josh 2, Nathan JB, XL Tin Can, and Wagner rounding out the top 10 here to start the grid. All on the soft tires, unsurprising given how close everybody was. Everybody putting soft tires on at the end of the session for their lap times. But free choice of tires is a little bit more what I was looking into. Eklund in 11th, best of the rest, choosing the yellow walled medium tires to start this race, and Appen Starche as well on the mediums here to start. With AJ Wuhan in 13th on the softs, Skilla in 14th on the mediums. Then you've got Dewil and Krishna running those soft tires. So interesting call from Dewil. Not putting on the hard tires there as I was expecting him to, but we'll see how that's going to work out for him. Of course, rotation, Carmentalist and Joran rounding out the grid on the medium tires. So for the most part, as far as free choice of tires was concerned, a little bit more leaning towards the mediums. Of course, softs for the top 10, so it's going to make things interesting here as far as the tire strategy is concerned, assuming it is going to be a dry race. But here we go. Drivers are lined up, and we are just about set for 36 laps here for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's round 2 of the Division 1 Championship, and we are up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. and the lights are off, and we are now racing here in Mexico as it looks to be a good start. Oh, there's contact there, and that's Izat Kush getting the worst of that as drivers battling for position. He's getting knocked all the way down to the back of the grid. He's probably not happy about that, and it looks to be nearly 4 wide here at the front as Jer challenging Wouter for positions here, as it looks like Wouter does hang on, but Jer up into third, overtaking Ryan Malta with Passassin moving up 1 position as well. A lot of these drivers benefiting from the mistake with Izat. Side by side though goes Josh 2 and Nathan JB though, as they're battling here in the early stages. A little bit of contact between the 2 drivers. More yellow flags here on the tracks. It looks to be a little bit further down the field. I think rotation struggling to get to grips with that car here in the early stages with the tire temperatures. We'll see if he can get that sorted out. But for the most part, I guess, it looks like everybody making it through clean. Wagner already putting a lot of pressure here on the Alpine of Nathan JB, going down the outside now. It's a close battle between the 2 of them, but Nathan JB hanging on to that position for the moment. But of course, this is where things really are going to start to take effect once we charge down once again the start-finish straight. Skilla and AJ going side by side down the exit of the final corner. They're going to have a drag race down towards turn 1, it seems. For now, it's Skilla who gets ahead, but for how long will it be? As, of course, no DRS, so not much of an overtake here, but still loads of battles going on here on track as everybody still dueling for position here, as now more yellow flags here as we've had contact. I think I went right by it without even realizing it on the stream, but just to catch my breath here, Knight, what are you seeing here on the alternate cameras?
Man, I knew it was happening there for much of the first lap. No idea what was happening at the start of the second lap. There's debris everywhere. Wagner's losing part of his wing. AJ Wuhan is just taking a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags, and I think there may have been contact there between the Williams and AJ getting past them, taking a penalty for it.
I think got involved. Ryan Malta got involved too, as he's falling down the order, and he's got no front wing whatsoever on that Haas car.
That might explain it. I know what happened at the start. It's actually that man right there, Ryan Malta, who had an amazing jump off the line. He jumped Izat Kush basically before they even fully pulled away from the grid, and then Jer having to react to Wouter coming to the left of him. That means that he moved to the left himself. That means Ryan Malta moved to the left, but Izat Kush was unfortunately still there, so that explains the contact there right off the line. We'll try to get a replay going very, very shortly once the action on track dies down a little bit, but at the start of that second lap, I'm honestly not quite sure where that contact came from.
No, and of course the wonderful timing tables as well didn't help, as it looked like Du Will was thinking about going for a move down the inside of Nathan JB, but thought a little bit better of it. But as I was cycling through, it looked like somewhere near the middle back of the field, it looked like there was a little bit of contact here. Maybe drivers trying to go for an overtake, but getting the elbows out just a little bit. And, of course, maybe leading to contacts. It looked like there was debris, pieces of front wing that were flying off of cars here. And I did see some pit stops from the likes of Wagner. Izat definitely having to take a pit stop rotation, I think, had to make one as well. Ryan Malta, too, as the 4 early pit stoppers. They're going to have to catch up, and I think... for those bottom 4 drivers, maybe hoping for a little bit of a safety car here, but hang on a minute. Here at the lead of the race, it's going to be a lead change as the drivers charge down into turn 1. Wouter now officially takes the lead with the help of DRS, and it looked like Jer thought about going for a move as well, but unfortunately he didn't have enough time in the corner, kept it alongside for the inside of turn 1, but going down the outside of turn 2 in that slow-paced corner, very difficult even for the most skilled of drivers. And for Jamie, and he just had the better line there and hung on to that P2. But it seems like the pressure is now on from a lot of these very quick drivers who maybe didn't have the qualifying that we're used to seeing from them, but now starting to find that groove, find that feel here in the race pace, and are starting to go on for a charge here. But It is the Ferrari now of Wouter leading the race here on lap 4. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to put the pressure on him. Of course, Knight, as you know, Wouter's the type of driver that once he gets ahead, once he gets the lead, he can just have one of those Lewis Hamilton type drives and just run away with it.
He doesn't make many mistakes, does he?
Oh,
Doesn't make many mistakes, Wouter. You let him get ahead, and yeah, he usually stays ahead. So it's going to be a hard task there. A tough task ahead for Jamien, who also loses a position to Jer by the end of the front straightaway. So he's down in P3. Jer, we should keep an eye out on him. Of course, this is his first race back since his ban at the end of Season 3. So a long time away from the ISRL league racing scene, but mostly he was talking a whole lot of smack in the chat earlier, right before the race, and let's just say he was racking up those clown emojis, and I want to see if he's earned them.
Oh, no.
Or if... Oh,
Sorry,
no,
just right as that was happening, Nathan JB goes for a little bit of a spin here. He was in a very good battle with the likes of, I believe it was Du Will, somewhere around there. He's trying to get back on track right now. No contact. In case we're worried about that, it was just a little bit too quick on the power for Nathan JB, and now he finds himself down in P15 and in a bit of a recovery drive of his own.
That's absolutely unfortunate there for the Alpine. Now a long ways away from his teammate up in P2. And we will see if Jer can catch up to Wouter. He's got the DRS now. He is actually making a lot of ground on the leading Ferrari. So I'll let you put that battle up on the big screen there. And we'll see just how quickly that Alpine, if at all, can get past into P1.
Yep, riding on board now with Jer as he's already thinking about going down the inside.
Eklund had a huge moment. You'll see it in the alternate angle there. Drifting is going to cost him the position now as XL Tin Can gets up into P6. Or maybe not. He's fighting back. They're fighting. But almost lost the car coming out of turn 3.
Ooh, nearly so close there as I'm just catching that here on my little stream angle of the alternate angle. It was a close battle. Thankfully, in the meantime, we didn't miss too much with Jer and Wouter as we got into like we were talking about in qualifying, the sections of the track where you don't really see too many overtakes unless of a crazy lunge. But very crucially, though, now we saw Passassin on one lap ago got ahead of Jamie, and so he's been released as well to chase down the top 2 and really make this a 3-car heavyweight bout. And this is honestly the battle I've wanted to see. Wouter on Jer and Passassin as well getting involved. If all 3 cars can just keep battling here, it's going to be good. Jer does get ahead. I thought nearly on the angle losing the car. Wasn't the case though, but Jer now, at least here early on, putting his money where his mouth is.
So, something else we might have just caught in the alternate angle there. More problems for Eklund. There's a lot of fighting further back in the pack. AJ Wuhan and Skilla going side by side to turn 1. Now it's AJ Wuhan and Appen going side by side into turns 4, 5 through 6. Eklund went side by side through turn 1 with Jamien, and it cost him a spin. I'm not quite sure how it happened. The camera kind of cut away there, but he's all the way down in 14th, and they're just gonna keep battling here. Huge battle going on outside of the top 3. They all seem to be a little bit queued up behind Jamien and behind XL Tin Can, and it was XL Tin Can that went side by side with Eklund, but a lot of cars here very close together, not so far back from the leaders.
Nope, and I mean, as far as this is concerned, Jamien also the first of the soft tire runners to opt to take a pit stop here, at least as far as the lead soft tire runners are concerned. So we'll see if anybody else is going to maybe take a pit stop to call that to play that off. But here, as far as the leaders are concerned, it's still very much so in the heat of the battle here. Wouter is now back leading the race as I think, honestly, P1 and P2, maybe even P3 here that's been occupied by Assassin. I think we're going to see these positions interchange lap after lap after lap with the help of DRS with that long straight, where essentially through the rest of the lap, every whatever gap that drivers are going to be building is just going to be closed right back up with the help of that the DRS and how powerful the toe is down the long straight. So I think one of these top 3 runners, I think sooner rather than later, we might see maybe taking a pit stop, take matters into their own hands, try to maybe overtake with the help of strategy. It's not going to be going into lap 8,
yeah.
but
I would
sorry, what were you saying?
I would expect one of these guys to be pitting, like you said. They're stuck right now in a train. Yes, that DRS toe down the straight can be huge. You can gain some positions, and if you time it right, you could work your way from the back of this queue here that we've got on the alternate angle to the front. But it's going to take a lot of overtaking. An undercut might get you the same place with much less effort. Could see one of these guys pitting. The problem is that most of them are on the mediums already. We've only got Will and Skilla in that group on the softs. Krishna's on the softs, so Duel and Krishna, and so this could yet play into their hands. They could go for the undercut. Everybody else kind of has to stick these medium tires out.
Yep, and what I'm looking at back of the leaders now, and this is something that could benefit Jer just a little bit. Oh, well, that's something that won't, as he takes a 3-second time penalty. But I was looking for, while I was watching Wouter, Passassin was really feeling like he had an opportunity to go for an overtake, was alongside Wouter for a good portion of turns 4, turns 5. Wouter does hang on to P2, but that did open the gap to Jer a little bit. But Jer now taking a pit stop. Passassin also taking his pit stop here to start lap 10, but Wouter is staying out. So Jer and Passassin running a bit of a similar strategy. Wouter, meanwhile, he's going to take that clean air to his advantage, and since he doesn't really need to battle anybody, he can focus on maybe pulling 1 or 2 more hot lap level laps and see if he can build that gap. But now looking at the battles here, AJ Wuhan and Appin are still having a little bit of a battle here. AJ did get ahead as he's up into now a 3rd position with Appin now charging back. But we could start seeing these medium tire runners start to make some moves now, as I think the soft tires might be starting to fall off just a little bit from their peak performance that we were seeing them over the last couple of laps here.
Yeah, expect some of the tires to start falling off a cliff there. Maybe lap 13, 14 is the furthest I expect anybody to drag these softs, but if they know what's good for them, if they know what's good for their pace, they're going to be getting off of them a little bit before that. And I did want to bring up this man, Is It? Yeah, I guess that's the end of his race. We're starting to see some pit stops. We've got some yellow flags. It looks like he retired in the pits, I think. No, it looks like he might have crashed out in the last corner.
I think it was a crash out on the last corner for Izat, as his car unfortunately did disappear right as I was switched on board to Appin to try to see it. Appin, though, meanwhile, does get an overtake down on AJ. AJ thinking about a little switchback move through the next corner, but Appin, I think, saw that coming, defended that perfectly, and it is now Appin on the medium tires up into a 2nd place now, and now just needs to charge and possibly try to catch up to XL Tin Can, and maybe use some clean air to try to build a little bit of a gap here between he and the rest of the field.
So many cars stuck behind the Alfa Romeo of Appin right now. We've got an immense queue, and this is really helping more than anybody else. Our leaders. Well, maybe not now. I think they're actually going to be coming up to the back of the queue here. But XL Tin Can, who's ahead of Appin, he's got a good chance.
Oh no,
to
but
get
Appin
away.
took some heavy wing damage somewhere.
Ooh.
As I switched over to try to see another battle, and then right as I switch back, I just see Appin with no front wing falling down the order. There goes Eklund now now getting ahead. That's going to be a pit stop for Appin.
Oh, without a doubt. And this liberates a lot of cars from behind that Alfa Romeo. He was an absolute roadblock, and props to him for the good defense. Whenever he'd lose a position, it seemed like he'd gain it back on the following straight, but clearly a moment there through the S's for Appin, and he falls down the order, gets the pit stop early. Not the race he wanted to have this early on.
Oh no, but now looking back at the track here, Josh too got ahead of Jamie, Wouter was trying to follow along suit, made it a little bit closer than he had to make it there, but wanting to get the overtake done. And I think Wouter, remember, he stayed out a lap extra compared to the likes of Passassin and Jer, who pit one lap previously, and you can see that that really didn't benefit Wouter as much as he was hoping for, getting caught up into that traffic with the cars ahead. It did allow him to keep close, but you can see now that that Josh too finds himself between Passassin, Jer, and Wouter. And crucially, I just noticed Passassin actually got ahead of Jer somewhere along the way, so he probably finds himself in the net lead of the race, I think.
I do. Well, net lead is one way of putting it. He is on a different strategy than some of these other guys, so it could yet come and change it up later on, because Assassin opting for the softs, whereas Jer and Woods are both opting for the mediums, and a lot of these guys still out on track. They are already on the mediums. They're going along into this race. He is the leader out of our previous group of leaders for sure. He's past Jer, he's past Wooter. Whether or not that translates into the lead of the race, we're going to have to wait until all of these guys ahead of him make their stops before we can determine that.
Yep, we'll have to see. Wooter on your screen got the overtake done on Josh too, though, with the help of DRS going up into P9. It looks like Skilla's putting a decent amount of pressure on Excel Tin Can now.
We've had that on the alternate angle for the last couple of laps, and that gap has been closing quite rapidly. Went from 1.3 seconds to now just 0.3 seconds. So full second gone in the last 2 laps.
Yep, and here goes Passassin continuing his charge back up the grid with those soft tires, really trying to put them to use and create some separation, I think, with the soft tires between himself, Jer, and Wooter. And I think
taking a penalty.
Oh wow, that's you don't see that happen too often from Wooter. But a time second penalty to be added to his time. Passassin making more moves now as he gets ahead of his teammate around what was the final corner. But it looks like his teammate Joran stuck in a battle of his own and doesn't really just want to give that away.
Skilla to the lead.
Oh, look at that. He does take the lead, getting ahead of XL Tin Can. I think that might have been caught on the alternate angle, I believe.
Most definitely did.
Awesome.
Don't worry about that.
Perfect. That's because I'm too busy watching Passassin just put on a little bit of an overtake clinic with these soft tires. Now approaching alongside a Do Will and making quick work of Do Will, and that's normally you don't see much of an overtake going into that left-hander leading into the S's. But Passassin feeling very confident in that Mercedes, and it almost looks like he's going to want it overtake XL Tin Can. And honestly, if he had a little bit more straight, I wouldn't have been surprised if he would have done it right then and there. Unfortunately, though, for Passassin, we'll be stuck staying behind, and I think our two feeds, sooner rather than later, might end up closing up to one another, as Passassin doesn't even need DRS to get past XL Tin Can. Just based on pure traction alone, already up to P2, and chasing down Skilla for the lead of the race. So I think Passassin really taking that strategy into his own hands. Rather than putting on the mediums, figured, you know what, I like my pace on the softs, I'm going to go for it here. And at least so far, it's working pretty well for him. He's up into second. And his main competitors here on track, the likes of Jaren Wooter, they're still stuck trying to get past Eklund, albeit now they've just gotten past Eklund, has Jaren Wooter right behind, following suit, but having a little bit more problems here, being forced outside. They're still side by side now as they're approaching the left-handed corner, but with the inside line, Wooter makes no mistake and gets the overtake done. So crucial for Wooter there in his charge back down for Jer. or charge after Jer, I should say. But my goodness, lots of battles going on everywhere here on track. Hard to keep up with them all here, especially with the pit stops starting to coincide here, and the strategies starting to merge here, one with the other.
Yeah, you can see just how close this grid is, and it's stuff like going for the softs instead of the mediums that lets you get through the traffic, get to P2, and now get into the lead of the race. That could be the difference maker there for Passas, and he still has to pit for a harder tire compound later in the race, but getting clear of traffic mid-race like this, getting good pace, getting yourself ahead of the pack, that could make the difference between first and second place, especially when you guys, when you have talented guys like Jer and Wooter following you, trying to chase you like that. Look at that, they're stuck in the traffic. They're stuck just waiting for Carmentelis and Duel to stop fighting, and they're losing so much time to Passassin because of this. And this is why the pit strategies can be so important here, as finally Jer just muscles his way past the Red Bull of Duel. Same with Wooter, who quickly takes advantage of the less than optimal line the Red Bull was afforded there through the start of the S's. And can they get past Carmentelis? I don't think they're going to have much trouble given the difference in age between their tires, but like I was saying, now this is basically giving Passassin a 3 to 4 second lead ahead of these guys, and they're not even past Carmentelis. They have to get past Jerome and Skilla as well. So Passassin might have just played a little bit of an ace of spade here with the alternate pit strategy.
Yes, looking like it here, especially now with Passassin having clean air to work with. But Jer and Wooter are on the charge now. They do get ahead of both of them of Carmentelis, as now they're chasing down Joran. But of course, the issue is that Jer and Wooter also, they're kind of stuck battling each other at the same time while trying to work their way up the field here. So it
those
goes
two
back.
Those two are not going to work together, I'll tell you that.
No.
They are not going to let the other person gain a second of time, even if it costs them 5 seconds of their own time.
No, definitely
I don't
not.
expect an inch of kindness between Jared and Wooter right now, not with the past history.
Oh, definitely not. Honestly, all I can think of is Zandvoort. I think that's all I need to mention.
Shades
I
of
think
Zandvoort. We
think
don't
since
have
then-
hills up here. We don't have hills in Mexico. We do have long-winded S's, though, and these guys do tend to be quite close on them. So maybe we'll get some more drama. Maybe we'll get a little bit of spicy action. Look at Wooter just taking some chances, slipping the nose in there, trying to get every inch of advantage he can.
Yep, trying his best, but of course Joran seems to be defender extraordinaire for the most part. But right as I say that, here we go. There goes Jer, and there goes Wooter. Almost 2x2 now, getting ahead of Joran. And through all that, Wooter actually manages to overtake Jer into the braking zone, and now finds himself in P3, and Jer having a big moment there, a big tank slapper on the exit of that corner, and he is losing big here in the grand scheme of things, down into P6 now, and is going to have to re-overtake not only Joran, but Carmentelis as well to get back up on the similar pace as Wooter, who now has clean air to chase down Skilla.
That's the problem when the grid is this tight, when the cars run this close. When the top 8 on this circuit right now are running within 10 seconds of each other, that is how you know that a single mistake could make the difference between a podium and 10th place. And Jer almost found that out the hard way. He drops into 6th. He's got to do all that work again. While I was talking there, Enoja Rotation having enough with this race. He's retired in the pits. We've got 17 cars left.
Yep, so Enoja Rotation, once again, as we were seeing, the pace is starting to come back for the Red Bull driver, but unfortunately, not having the race he was hoping for here once again, and he is out of this session. So unfortunate for him, and unfortunate for the Red Bull team there. No affiliation, I swear. But here back on track, you're seeing Carmentelis and Joran having a little bit of a battle here. Joran getting the worst of that as Jared just following Carmentelis down, similar to what he and Wooter were doing, and they get ahead. So for Jer now. 1 down, 1 to go, but already the damage has been done. Wooter 2 seconds ahead of Carmentalist, and that gap is starting to grow as Wooter's closing up on Skilla, but I still do need to mention
Assassin growing. Look at
Yeah.
the gap to Assassin growing. He's got to pit. He's got to get off the softs. He's got to, I think, get on the mediums at least. But you got a 5-second gap. Can Wooter, can Jer, who are probably going to be putting on the softs for the last stint of this race, make up that gap? They're going to have a bit of a clearer air ahead of them, hopefully. The pack should have spread out a little bit more by then, assuming there's no safety cars, and they might have a bit of an easier time. But Assassin has built himself a nice little safety net, and that's the thing, too, is he could get a race at any given time. Somebody loses it in the wrong part of the S's, somebody's nearby, boom, we've got a safety car, and that lead is evaporated. So Assassin needs to keep working on that, and he needs to make sure he's not going to get caught out on his strategy by a wrongly timed safety car.
Oh no! And now, of course, if that wasn't enough for Assassin to tend to, as you can see, the Ferrari of Wooter finally makes it through the traffic and can now officially start trying to chip away at that gap. And I'd like to think this could be right around the time too where if Assassin's soft tires might start to lose that initial grip, lose that initial pace, and they might start just being a little bit slower, and we could be seeing a changeover period between the soft tires being the quickest tire that Assassin has on to those medium tires from Wooter starting to be the quickest tire on track. So it is something that we'll have to keep an eye out for. Jer, meanwhile, still struggling to get by Carmentalist.
Yeah, he got by and then immediately fell back behind, and Carmentalist and Skilla, both of them, no penalties. They're on 20-lap old medium tires, which means they've started the race on them, right? Now, they could, if they stretch out to about lap 24, and I know this from experience, pit for the softs and make it to the end. We could see a one-stop from both Skilla and Carmentalist, who promptly drops 2 positions down that straight as everybody's just swapping thanks to the DRS. But if they go for that one-stop, everybody else in front of them still has to stop as well. This could turn into a very good race, because with the penalties, well, Carmentalist is just taking one of his own there, but with the penalties, they could gain a lot of positions.
Oh yeah. Now, of course, when you were mentioning that, I was watching Jer get ahead of Carmentalist, but of course, overtaking Jer is a driver we kind of haven't really spoken much about. But for no good reason other than he's just been lurking in the shadows, doing his own thing as he tends to do. Josh too now, back up, essentially back in contention here, running a similar strategy as the both of them, and now finds himself in P4, up into a podium or up into P2 now, as we're starting to see the likes of Assassin taking his pit stop to put on the medium. Skilla is pitting for the softs, so Wooter now leads the race.
Where's Assassin gonna come out?
Here we go. It's looking to be P7. Yes, it is going to be comfortably in P7. A 6.6 second gap to close up to Jamian. But now for Assassin, he had that lead built, and it seems like it's now time to do it all again. Charge back up the field, go for those overtakes.
I am thinking of something here, and I do want to bring it up. We're looking at Carmentalist. We were looking at DeWill, I believe, who was up there without having pit. No, it wasn't DeWill. Sorry, it was Skilla. Skilla was up there without having pit. They made those mediums comfortably last about 21, 22, 23 laps. And when I was doing my race, and I had my mediums at about 23 laps, they were roughly 75%, right? I could have maybe gone another lap or two. I was losing pace, but I could have. Now, if I do the here with Wooter, he's got 10 laps on his tires, right? There's 14 laps left. That's 24 laps on the mediums. Could Wooter go to the end here?
I do think it is a possibility for him. I do think he can go to the end. He would be pushing the tires, but, I mean, Wooter is very good at tire wear. From what I've seen, he is the type of driver that can just make tires last, whether, you know, you can just bring them to 80, 90% and still find a way to not have them punctured, still nurse them around. I think the big key is going to be the pace difference that he would have on those 23, 24 lap old tires when we do hit the point 3 laps from the end. Already we're starting to see drivers take their second pit stops, which very quickly has promoted Passassin up to P5 now, and he's going to be charging on that fresh set of medium tires. So I really think it's going to come down to, one, will the gap that Wouter now has be able to last him, and will he just have enough pace by the end of the race? What happened to Appen? Appen is out of, well, so much for what we were talking about there. We now have a safety car out, and just like clockwork, look who's in the pits. It's Wouter who's now in the pits to...
that was absolutely perfect timing there. Coming through Sector 3, he's in the stadium section when the safety car comes out, and all he has to do is slide in nicely, and he gets the free pit stop for the softs. Could he have made it to the end? I think he might have, but with this free pit stop, he gets to come out ahead of Passassin, who I believe is pitting as well. There's no sense in not putting on the softs at this point in the race, and we're going to get a mad dash to the finish here, because I'm pretty sure almost every single one of these drivers, except for it looks like Excel Tin Can, going to be diving into the pits and putting on a fresh set of red marked tires.
Well, if that's the case, I do need to mention a little bit of confusion in the Haas pit wall. It looks like, as Jamian, he opted to put on a set of medium tires. I think he may be looking for a bit more of the comfortable strategy with the harder tires, not have to worry about tire wear.
Could be that he ran out of softs as well. He has pit twice this race, and depending on how many tires he used in qualifying, it is possible that he's just simply run out of red marked tires to use, and he has no choice but to go on the mediums.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think of that. I didn't think of that at all, to be honest. So could be the case. We'll have to see how that'll play out for him. But I'd be a little bit worried if I was Jamie here up in P7, especially on the restart here, knowing that everybody around you is on those soft tires. I think for XL Tin Can in a similar position where I'd be a little bit worried, especially with those 7-lap-old medium tires, knowing you've got Jared, Josh, Esquilla, Carmentalist all on the soft tires, ready to just absolutely leapfrog you off the restart when it is the case. But I think we're just about, well, not just about ready, but it looks like we're set up for another 10-lap sprint to the finish here to end a Division 1 race. I think, what is this, 2 races in a row that we've had something similar, but it's going to make things for a very exciting finish, I am sure. But Knight, I don't know if you've got any replays or something set up and ready to go, but here under safety car.
I don't, but we're under safety car,
and
I don't
time.
see why we wouldn't go back. It's a long time ago from now. It's 25.
Probably not happy about that, and it looks to be nearly 4 wide here at the front as Jared challenging Wouter for positions here. As it looks like Wouter does hang on, but Jared up into third, overtaking Ryan Malta, with Passassin moving up 1 position as well. A lot of these drivers all the way down the race, but here we go. Drivers are lined up, and we are just about set for 36 laps here for round 2 of the Division 1 Championship, and we are up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights, and the lights are off, and we are now racing here in Mexico. As it looks to be a good start. Oh, there's contact there, and that's Izad Kush getting the worst of that as drivers battling for position.
Bumped. And that's what happened to Izzet, essentially. I do hope that worked there, because I'm still getting used to this whole replay system, and I have no idea if you guys actually heard our voices there. But if not, at least you got to see the replay, and hope you enjoyed. We are under safety car. Safety car is in this lap, so we'll go right back to the live feed, and I'll try to get my replay stuff sorted, because it's still so confusing of a software. Oh, man, it's something, I tell you. It's something.
Yep, early stages, still ironing out the kinks here in the broadcaster's booth. but as the drivers are. But we are going back to green flag racing here. Excuse me, as Wouter leads the charge. It looks to be a good start from him here. XL Tin Can maybe not having the start he was hoping for. Jer right up behind and trying to close up, but with no DRS, essentially keeping things the way they are. But the top three have already built a tiny little bit of a gap. Josh too, I think, wasn't quite as ready for the restart as the top three were, falling behind a little bit. But thanks to the hard braking zone of turn one, everything is forgiven, it seems, as he's right back up there. Passassin now trying to charge his way up the field once again with that fresh set of soft tires. He does find himself on a bit more of an equal playing field with everybody else here, but we'll see if that true pace from the Mercedes driver is there here, as we are back to racing here with 10 laps to go. Time penalties seem to have been given out left, right, and center here, as I think 3 drivers in the span of one corner all took that same time-second penalty. Ryan Malta getting ahead of Krishna, as you can see on your screen. XL Tin Can absolutely parking the bus here, holding up the field behind him. And Wouter, who's leading, he's already ahead. He's very happy with that, already up to a 2.5 second gap now and counting, as the likes of Jer trying to get ahead. It looks like Jer will finally be able to get ahead one lap later. Josh too trying to follow right behind, but it's going to be a little bit more trickier for the Alfa Romeo driver. Oh, and that looked like Josh was muscled off a little bit from XL Tin Can. Passassin taking
chaos.
some heavy damage there as I was watching behind what was going on there. So a little bit of chaos and back under safety car here.
Well, this has erased Wouter's lead. It's also erased any shot Passassin or Skilla had a good result there. As coming out of turn 2 into turn 3, Josh and Tin Can getting a little bit squirrely side by side. Josh had to check up and essentially just cause a little bit of a Constantiner effect. Passassin retiring from the session there. Was that a? I think he might have crashed on the exit there, just too eager to get back to the pits. Unfortunate for him. But yeah, he's in the wall there. Not quite sure what happened, because that's an odd place to crash under safety car. We've got 15 cars left. Skilla's got damage as well. What happened was that Josh had to check up to avoid a spin there. Feel like he might have gotten squeezed by Tin Can just a little bit, and while lifting off the gas, hitting the brakes a little bit more than expected, Skilla and Passassin with nowhere to go but into the back of the car right in front of them. Both of them getting damage. We've got our second safety car of the race, and this should give XL Tin Can a chance to rectify his mistake of not pitting for softs there on the previous one. Jamian still staying out on the mediums. Everybody else is going to be on softs, either fresh or from the last pit stop there, just a few laps to go. So once again, we've got a reset, and looks like this mad dash to the finish had a bit of a prequel, as lap 28 out of 36, and we're back under yellow.
Yep, back under yellow, back under safety car here. And I mean, you honestly brought us through what ended up bringing us to the safety car absolutely fantastically. I mean, you might have seen on the screen, I sat on what was left of Passassin's car, peeking on the stream, seeing what happened there to cause the DNF. A little bit of an interesting moment here, coming through the double right-hander, no front wing there. Looked like he might have just put on a little bit too much power, but just lost the back end, and the car just swung into the wall from there. So take of that as you will, but that is Passassin's car, unfortunately out of the race here. With no front wing, and in part what brought out the safety car, but not the direct cause of it. But we are under safety car nonetheless. Wouter now leading the way, but it's going to be a little bit more of a trickier restart from him, as he's got his honestly his main rival Jer right behind him, ready to charge at it. Wouter versus Jer, where have we seen this one before? With Josh too lurking in the shadows in third.
Oh, yeah. Last time I saw this, I think I had nightmares for a few weeks. And yeah, luckily for us, it's not a very tight circuit with winding hills and a certain particular wall near the track that's easy to hit. Unfortunately for us, it's the same 3 actors, especially the same 2 at the front, and there are also walls at this track that can be easy to hit. So let's just say I'm scared. I'm more scared for these guys' repair bill if this goes the way it has in the past. Jer talking a lot of smack before the race, as we mentioned earlier. Wouter telling him to, stick that sass where it came from, in a certain manner speaking. So not only are these 2 longtime rivals here at ISRL, but they've done a fair bit of hyping each other up and making sure that the other one absolutely does not want to lose before the race. So expect, like I said before, not an inch of ground to be given away for free.
Oh no, and they've both got the clown emoji. You're ready to go, adding the other one depending on how this plays out.
If I had to guess, I bet that they're spending all of the safety car period on AI writing disses down, just ready to send them right after the race. Because if they're not, well, A, that's a lot of wasted time and great disses that you could have been writing. And B, I mean, you're going to have some smack to talk after the race. You might as well get ahead of yourself. Maybe get some little responses ready for the interview room, assuming both of them keep the car in one piece long enough to make it to the interview room. If not, I mean, Josh sure is in a good position here, and if I'm Josh, I got a smile from ear to ear, because I'm like, all right, either I get a podium here, or the 2 guys ahead of me crash each other out. We're gonna find out. We're back under green.
Yep, here we go. Wouter leading the charge. A little bit of a slower restart than the previous one here, but it worked for him nonetheless, as Jared chasing down Josh to a little bit further behind. But right behind them, you can see for P4, P5, Krishna is thinking about going for a move. He does send it around the outside, and he sticks that overtake on Jamian, who did not have the restart he was hoping for here. But as far as the top 3 are concerned, it's even playing fields here. But of course, with 6 laps to go, Wouter, 3 seconds of penalties, Jer with 6, Josh with 6, Krishna with 3 to go through the top 4, Jamian also with 3. So it is something to keep an eye out for here, especially with this late safety car bunching up the grid. Penalties going to be affecting this a lot more than what they would without them. So even more pressure on the likes of Jer and Josh to get the overtakes done. Not just that though, but build the gaps afterwards to not lose out with the likes of penalties, or of course try to force the already near flawless Wouter into another 3-second penalty. I mean, that could also work, but a lot easier said than done. But here we go. 5 laps to the finish here. It's all going to come down to this, as everybody made it through the first lap under the safety car restart very cleanly, so no repeat of what we saw previously. But of course, we're gonna start seeing some more moves once DRS does get active here. For now, drivers, I think, just focusing on sticking with one another as much as they can. Eklund, though, he's finding a little bit of pace, trying to chase after Jamian to get up into a top 5 here. And Jamian, like we were mentioning, on the medium tires, just not having that extra pace that we're seeing from other drivers here. The decision either to not put them on or to use up some of those soft tires previously seems to be biting him a little bit here, although he is making the best of a quote-unquote bad situation here, still hanging on to that P5. But for the leaders, not much has changed here as the laps are ticking down, but I think now we'll see DRS activate, if I recall correctly, at the start of this lap. So this is where things are really going to start to heat up here, with the overtakes, with the pushes, with the drivers starting to feel the pressure now, with 4 laps to go in this Grand Prix.
It's coming to a close, and we still don't have a clear winner yet. Everybody's so close together. We don't even know if this top 3 is going to be our podium because of the penalties and everything. That could still come and affect it, but Wooter's looking like he's handling himself off of this restart. He's building up that gap, and his DRS is going to open. He should be at least safe enough not to lose any positions there on the first DRS lap, at least the first DRS zone down the main straight. You want to be ideally within 6/10 of the car ahead to get a good chance, and of course, you know, you could just pump overtake and keep him behind, but Jer looks like he's got a little bit more battery saved up than Wooter right now, so could get just a slight edge down the next straightaway.
Yeah, but for Jer, he's got the battery saved up. He's going to have to use that to his advantage here. But of course, he took another 3-second time penalty somewhere over the course of the last lap or two, which brings his total up to 9 seconds. So he's going to have to overtake Wooter and somehow build a 6-second gap now in a span of 3 laps, which is a lot to ask for from any driver here this late in the race.
Are you sure? Because last time he tried doing that, he just kind of gave him a little bump. He's going for it.
There we go, into turn 1. We saw the overtake attempt. Looked like, came close here on the runoff, but Wooter just putting that car where it needed to be to keep Jer behind. I think is he gonna go for it again? No. Thought about it for half a second, but Wooter breaking that fraction of a second later than Jer did, taking that outside line, and that's going to be where things stand. So another lap or another few corners and another lap, it seems, of Wooter in first, Jer in second, as the charge continues here, but the laps are ticking down slowly but surely here, not so slowly but surely, already here nearing 2 laps to the end of the Grand Prix. So if you're Jer, you're starting to feel the pressure, if you haven't been already, of that possible win, and even more so, the possibility of a podium just falling out of your grasps here. Starting lap 34, we go at it once again, riding on board with Jer. Is he gonna go for the overtake? He's catching. He's alongside. He does get ahead now this time before turn 1. So he does get the move done, but now can he build that gap enough to limit the damage? Now is the true question. Or will Wooter keep up? Will he maybe overtake again? Are we going to see Josh maybe try to go for a move himself on Wooter and help the cause without even willing? We'll find out here soon enough. I mean, there are other battles happening on track, but I just can't seem to take my eyes off this lead battle here.
I'm not even looking at anything but the battle for the lead. I don't even know what's happening elsewhere on track.
Well, hang on. I'm seeing... Well, not the case. I was just seeing XL Tin Can got close to Nathan JB once again. They've been just duking it out, but XL Tin Can just has not been able to get the overtake done. But
I'm doing some math here. Will could be on for a podium. He's in P8 right now. But with the gaps and the penalties, he hasn't taken a penalty yet. He could be on for a podium here from P8, just off of penalties. Keep an eye out for that Red Bull.
That would be crazy to see. We've got a yellow flag here. That's Jerome, who is now getting back on track, but he's going to have a long ways to go if he did take any wing damage, having to get around track. And a big moment from Jer. We saw that at the same time. That's not going to help, and that gives Wooter the lead of the race once again here on the penultimate lap on track. So, what a costly mistake there from Jer, as it seemed like he was running pretty well, but the pressure was definitely on for the Alpine driver, and definitely feeling the pressure here, I think, maybe a little bit more than others here. Maybe seeing the implications now of those time-second penalties with those late safety cars, and trying to maximize the exit speeds, trying to maximize his corner exits to really try to build that gap as much as he can with the limited time available. but didn't work out for him. Now back down in second, and is going to have to restart all over again with essentially one more lap to go as we're starting the final lap of this very eventful Mexican Grand Prix. Here comes Jer. Is he going to go for the move again? He gets alongside. Josh is now going to try again on Wouter, and Jer gets ahead. Josh gets ahead of Wouter. Krishna came very close, it looked like. Practically put a piece of paper between he and Wouter's car through turns 1 and turn 2. Eklund, though, is now putting a lot of pressure on Krishna to get up into P4 as drivers really trying to fight for position here, knowing the implications of their penalties, trying to make a push here. But this is going to be crazy. A little reminiscent of, I think, what I saw from what we saw from Spa last season, with every driver just crossing the line, and it's just going to be a kerfuffle to the end. About half a track to go now. Jer is now leading the race. Josh in second, but it looks like for now we could see none of those two taking the top step of the podium, as Wouter's still keeping a cleaner race. We're all coming through the stadium section, all seeing the sparkles and the fireworks. Across the line they come. Who will get the victory? It's going to be Wouter, it looks like. No, Do Will gets the win. What?
I said to keep an eye out for that Red Bull 2 laps ago, and look at that, from P8, because you don't take any penalties, he jumps to the front and takes a W. That is insane driving from Will to stay close with no pens like that.
Oh my goodness, driver of the day. If that's not deserved, I don't know what is. Oh my goodness. Félicitations, Will. It's all I can say about that, as the Red Bull gets the top step of the podium here. And my goodness, that just caps off an already crazy race with one of the more crazier finishes I've ever seen to a Grand Prix.
Well, I thought he might have been set for a podium. Was not expecting a win, but you know what? I called it, and I'm going to take credit for it. Will with a huge drive there to stay clean and take it. And what did he win by? It was just over half a second. Excel Tin Can out of nowhere in P3. Eklund, after that spin, with a huge comeback into 4th. Jamie and our pole sitter down in 5th, but I'm sure he's going to be quite happy with that result, given the hardships he faced through the race. Josh and Jer, look at that. They were on the podium when they crossed the line. They finished 6th and 9th because of penalties. And Jer from P1 to P9, I did not expect to see that. And I made sure to already send him my little beautiful clown emoji in chat. And I'm sure I won't be the only one, because he was not able to hold up his side of the deal and win this race. Sorry, Jer. Better luck next time.
That was absolutely crazy. I'm still speechless, and right as I was ready to crown Wouter as the winner, I saw it there, then saw everybody else jump in. I'm like, all right, and it's going to be, and then all of a sudden, Will just leap of faith, long jump up the grid. He's your winner, and honestly, he's probably ecstatic, because that's Will's second win of the afternoon here for us. Winner in Div 2, and just like that, winner in Division 1.
We're not going to talk about Div 2. I don't think that race ever happened, and we most definitely we did not race Div 2. Div 2 had the week off. I don't know what you're talking about, but that was a great Div 1 race, absolutely, and I'm sure Will is going to be pumped. I've sent some invites. Hopefully they join in there on our little interview session. If not, what an absolute finish we just had. Everybody was so close right up until the line, and it just came down to penalties, just like we thought. And Will with a huge victory. I'm sure he's going to want to move up into Div 1, but if he ever does, I mean, he's got basically a wins head start.
Yep, he's got the pace, but we saw XL Tin Can jump in and Do Will jump in. So tonight, who do we want to start with?
I'll let you start. I've already got my favorite, so it'd be unfair if I choose.
All right. So you know what? I've got the Red Bull up on the screen here for everybody watching. So you know what? Let's start with Do Will, just so I don't have to switch them up. So Do Will, my goodness, wasn't expecting you to be back here so soon, to be honest. But a fantastic race from you here by the end of it. I mean, I'm gonna skip my normal question. Just talk us through the last lap of the race.
uh, all the guys in the party was like, oh, everyone in front of you got penalty, just keep it clean, just do your race, and maybe you will get a podium. So I stayed just calm behind AJ, and I did my race. And when I crossed the line, I think I shot so loudly.
Out of nowhere. With 2 laps to go, we realized you might be due for a podium. I don't think anybody saw a win coming, and from the sounds of it, you didn't either. I gotta say, are you going to be putting in an application for a move up after this, or are you going to just keep winning Div 2 instead?
It's up to you, mate. It's up to you.
Well, do you want it? Because you're going to have to put in your you have to put in an application, you know? You got to be like, hey, guys.
If there is a seat, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, well, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. With a race like that, I mean, how could you not at least consider it? Did you think halfway through this race that was a chance? The win was still in sight? Or were you kind of settling in there for just some points?
To be honest, when the safety car get on track, I was like, oh no, because I was doing one stop, and so my strategy was put in a bin, and so I put the soft and just I knew I got no penalty, so I was just trying to keep on the road and cross the line with no penalty and see what would happen, and this happened.
It was absolutely very well done. I think we've got Tin Can as well in the lobby. Yes. Can you hear us, man?
Yeah, hello. Hi.
Well, first of all, great result. I don't think
Thank you.
pre-penalties being applied. Gotta admit, you weren't on my radar for a podium, but you finished there anyways. Can you talk us through that race?
Well, I mean, yeah, I was always going for like no penalty because I knew how like easy everyone gets penalties around here. It seems like, but yeah. So I was going for soft medium. I thought that would give me the chance to get near the front guys because I knew I had good race pace, and then the safety cars happened. So.
And what was going through your mind there? And did you have to adapt your strategy at all as the safety cars came out?
The first one I didn't think I had to because I thought like everyone else behind me would, to be honest. And then I saw them all pit and I was a bit scared, to be honest, with all the soft guys around me. But the second one I knew I had to pit and just try and keep it clean for the last 8 or so laps on softs.
Yeah, and I saw it brought up in chat, so I have to ask you about it. Was who do you think was at fault there with that incident for Josh? Did you give him enough room?
Yeah, I mean I don't know his POV honestly, but like it's a difficult place to go for a move anyway, in my opinion. And,
Yeah, absolutely, I can agree.
I gave him some room on the curb, but obviously he must have spun from that, so.
Actually, what happened was that he had to slow down, and it caused some checkups behind. It actually ended up costing Passassin and Appen some front wings as well. But from our angle, at least the angle I saw, we couldn't see anything in terms of space. But I guess the stewards are going to be able to determine whether or not you're telling the truth there. I'm sure that we will see some replays of that. Beyond that, what do you take from this race into the next weekends of the season? Are you going to try to build off this momentum, or are there any lessons that you can learn from today?
I mean, there's always lessons from every race. Like I do, nice at that. But yeah, I just gotta keep making sure my qualifying's better, really, and starts because I lost a lot of time today from the start. So I'll just see how that goes, and then hopefully build on that for next week.
Well, I hope to see you in the interview room
Yeah.
here after a nifty little podium at some point later this season, maybe more than once
Yeah,
if
me
you're
too.
lucky enough. And I don't know if Monkey's had any questions for you before we move on to the man in the Ferrari.
No, I think Knight. I think you absolutely covered all the questions I had for you. So let's move on to our final post race interview. The man in the Ferrari, the man who was essentially in the running for the win for a podium through the entirety of the race, ended up on the podium, not quite in the victory though. It's Wouter. Now, Wouter, I just want to check in. Are you here with us at all?
Yeah, I'm here.
So a great race from you, second on the grid, second here on the second on the podium here. Firstly, talk us through that race. What were your thoughts here after that race, especially with the battles you had with, Jer through what was probably 30 of the 36 laps.
Yeah, I felt like my pace was quite good, and after I think I was cutting through the field quite nicely after my first pit stop, and then I finally overtook Jer as well, got a gap on him, and was 5 seconds behind Possession as well. So then the first safety car came out, and kind of nice, but the last safety car I think ruined my chances.
You had a huge restart on one of the safety cars. You must have been very disappointed to see the other one come out. I think, though, maybe not disappointed. I'm sure you were relieved that you and Jay are battling so hard did not finish like it has in the past. Were you scared that there was going to be contact or maybe some unfortunate spinning at any point in those battles?
Nah, not really. We have some history, but
Yeah.
nah.
Has he moved on from that history? Have you moved on from that history?
Nah, I've gone clear. Just not not on the same level.
Yeah, okay. We were saying in the stream, I don't think you were going to give him an inch of free space, and I don't think that it's going to be any different from his perspective. Could we see you two clash again later this season, or is he way too slow to keep up with you?
Nah, it can always happen. I don't know what Jared's on, sometimes, but it can always happen. But
well, neither do we.
I think we can stay on track together.
You sure? I mean, this is your
Yeah.
chance to say some shit here. Sorry for the language. It's my stream, so I don't care. Because he crossed the line first, but you'll notice that he's not in the party. And so if there's anything you want to say about that, I'll be sure to clip it and send it to the Div 1 chat.
No, I would have put up more of a fight in the last lap run, but he had 9 seconds. I saw I just had to stick behind.
Well,
But I didn't realize Dual Will had no. So
I don't think Duwill didn't even realize that Duwill was in for a win there. So that came out of nowhere. That was an absolutely awesome finish, though. And I don't know about you. I'm done with the questions. I saw all I had to see on track today. I think that's a statement enough. And I cannot wait to see the rest of this season here. Hopefully, maybe another challenge, a title challenge between the Alpine and the Ferrari with two, storied rivals, I guess is the word I'll use, behind the wheel. That would be an awesome season to have.
Yep, it was a fantastic race. I think I'm done with all the questions too, and honestly, I'll be honest. I think I'm gonna wrap up the stream before I just pass out a heat stroke here in the stream room. With this,
we need an AC for that place, don't we?
Yep. So I think I'm gonna end it there. Congratulations to you guys on the podium for the fantastic results. And after a race like that, I'm already excited for next week for what it's going to bring. And you won't want to miss that. It was a crazy race, so we're taking a little bit of a break. We're hitting the spa. It's gonna be the Belgian Grand Prix next week. You're not gonna want to miss that. It's going to be fantastic. But for us here, it's going to do it for the stream for this week, and I do want to say thank you everybody for watching. Of course, I do want to thank our partners, Advanced Sim Racing, IMB Racewear, IFEA, and Jackson Protection Agency. Thank you for supporting us with what we do. We would not be able to do what we do without you guys. And of course, everybody watching at home. We can't do what we're doing without you guys watching and supporting us, so thank you for that. But on behalf of Knight, myself, and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I want to say thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic